Hey, what's up, y'all? And well, it is time to update the top 25 in college football. So I know that it's been a while. The last time we did a top 25 was after the conference championships, and we had the playoff selection. So this will be the final top 25 ranking for after the end of the postseason. So here we go. So I guess we'll start out with the first nine, so 25 through 17. So of course at number 25, Memphis, same place as last time. Memphis finished with a record of, what was it, 11-2. With their losses being to Navy and UTSA. I guess their best win was against Tulane. Uh, let's see, they beat Florida State. Yeah, that doesn't really mean anything. Who didn't beat Florida State? So, uh, and then they did beat West Virginia to in their bowl game. So okay, so wait, so before we go any further, we should talk about teams that I threw out. Yes, Colorado uh, was eliminated after getting blown out by BYU. Colorado finishes the season with 0 ranked wins and a 9-4 record. Anyway, and then Duke finishes 9-4 after getting absolutely obliterated by Ole Miss in their bowl game. And then Army was number 24, but I threw them out after they got blown out by Navy. I mean, they had like the worst schedule in FBS. Army did. I mean, outside of Notre Dame, Army's schedule was absolute trash, even for a group of 5 team. So they played no one and beat no one. I guess their best win was Tulane in the regular season. And of course, yes, they did blow out Louisiana Tech, but it's Louisiana Tech. They were like 5-7, so. So and then got blown out by Notre Dame and then blown out by Navy. And then also others receiving votes. We did have Kansas State, Navy, is that it? Just Kansas State, Navy, Colorado. I thought about maybe leaving them in there, maybe ranking them like number 25, but I guess Duke, they did finish 9-4, so I guess I should include them in the others receiving votes. So I guess that's about it on the others receiving votes. It's just Navy, Kansas State, Colorado, Duke, Army. I guess that's about it. So, but anyway, moving on with the list. At number 24, I did have UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Now they went 10-2 2 in the regular season. I think overall their record was they finished like 11-3, like 10-2 regular season. Only lost to Boise State and Syracuse, and then lost to Boise State twice. So just Syracuse and Boise State twice, and they did beat Cal in their bowl game. Anyway, and then number 23, I do have Louisville. They finished at 10-3, beat Washington in their bowl game. Of course, they did have the big win against Clemson, which is why I did decide to rank them. But they also had losses to like Stanford, and then some other teams, and they also lost to like Miami and SMU and Notre Dame, but those were all close games. So in which they finished 9-4. Let's see. At number 22, I did put LSU. Now the reason why I have LSU ahead of Louisville is because LSU had more quality wins. They beat Ole Miss. They beat South Carolina. But anyway, and then who did they lose to? Yeah, they lost to Texas A&M. They lost to Alabama. Florida. And then there was one other game. Who else did they lose to? Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. But they did finish 9-4, beat Baylor in their bowl game. Anyway, next, how about number 21? I do have Missouri. I did have them at number 22 last time, so I moved them up one spot. They beat Iowa in their bowl game, so finished 10-3. Yeah, 10-3. They only lost to Alabama, Texas A&M, and South Carolina. Right. So it's back-to-back seasons of double-digit wins for Mizzou. All right, so now at number 20, I do have Miami. They were at number 14, so they dropped by 6 spots. Obviously, you've got to have them behind Syracuse because Miami lost to Syracuse, so. Anyway, so Miami at number 20. Yeah, I hate to have to do this to you, but that maybe number 20 for Miami seems a bit low. But you'll understand as you see the teams that I have ranked above them. I mean, you went 10-2 regular season, lost to Georgia Tech and Syracuse, which means no ACC championship. Of course, Miami has never won the ACC. So, and then I mean Miami had no defense. Well, I mean neither did LSU, but yeah, Miami no defense. and then anyway, and then you lost to Iowa State in your bowl game because Cam Ward quit at halftime. So, but anyway, so number 19, I have Syracuse. Well, like I said, ahead of Miami because they beat Miami. So, Syracuse big wins. So yeah, they had wins over like I guess UNLV. I guess that was a big win. Miami, obviously. But they also had some pretty embarrassing losses too, like losing to Boston College and some other teams. Did they lose to Stanford? No, I think that was Louisville lost to Stanford. Anyway, yeah, I can't remember who all they lost to, but anyway, at number 18, we do have SMU, and number 17, Clemson. Now, I know this is going to be pretty controversial. How low I have Clemson and SMU. Well, I mean, South Carolina beat Clemson, so I had to have South Carolina ranked above Clemson. So SMU went 11-1 in the regular season, with their only loss being to BYU, and then they lost to Clemson in the ACC championship, and then got absolutely obliterated by Penn State in the playoffs. I mean, they kind of didn't really belong in the playoffs, but and they lost to Clemson, who again, Clemson lost to South Carolina. So, I mean, that means that South Carolina is the real ACC champion. But anyway, of course, Clemson lost to Georgia and South Carolina and Louisville and Texas in the playoffs. Anyway, so I guess we'll put up the next 8. So 16 through 9. Number 16, I do have South Carolina because they beat Clemson, and then Alabama beat South Carolina, so I have them 15, and of course Illinois beat South Carolina. Yes, Illinois beat South Carolina. South Carolina beat Clemson. Clemson beat SMU. So, and Syracuse beat Miami. Miami didn't even make the ACC championship. Dropped Clemson and SMU from 11-12 to 17-18. That's what, like 6 spots, 7 spots. 6. Anyway, South Carolina, I left them exactly where they were at number 16. After they finished 10-3, after losing to Illinois in a bowl game. Of course, their big win was against South Carolina and Missouri. Almost beat Alabama. Got blown out by Ole Miss. Lost to LSU, which was a game that they should have won, but they got screwed by some officiating. Anyway, so they finished 9-4. And then number 15, I do have Alabama. Drop them down 2 spots. Let's see, they finished 9-4 after losing to Michigan in their bowl game. Also lost to Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. But they beat Georgia somehow, and South Carolina, and Missouri, and LSU. So, I mean, you kind of never knew what you were gonna get with Alabama from week to week. It gets very inconsistent. Yeah, very weird season for Alabama. But anyway, at number 14, I do have Illinois, and number 13, BYU, and 12, Iowa State. So all of these teams got a big bump, with Iowa State's being the biggest, 7 places from 19 to 12, and then the BYU moved up 4 from 17 to 13, and so did Illinois, also moved up by 4, 18 to 14. I mean, I've always had BYU ahead of Illinois, going back the last few weeks. So I decided, not to flip them around now. Illinois goes 10-2, 9-3 regular season, beat South Carolina in their bowl game. So that was a good win. Let's see, they only lost to Oregon and Penn State, both understandable losses, but lost to Minnesota, kind of a head scratcher. Anyway, okay. Now BYU, who did BYU? They lost to Kansas and Arizona State. 10-2 regular season, 10-3 after they beat Colorado. Blew out Colorado in their bowl game. Let's see, BYU's best win, I guess it was. Yeah, they did beat SMU. Yes, so that was a good win. Let's see, and then they destroyed Kansas State, who I had in the others receiving votes. So anyway, and then number 12, Iowa State. I mean, after the conference championships, I had Iowa State number 17 ahead of BYU and Illinois, but then I had to drop them down, at least a little bit, after they got blown out by Arizona State in the Big 12 title game. So, but I moved Iowa State back ahead of BYU, because at least Iowa State played in the Big 12 title game, whereas BYU didn't. Anyway, Iowa State, I think they just lost to like Cincinnati and Texas. Was it Cincinnati? No, it was Texas Tech and somebody. Yeah, I think it was Kansas. Yeah, Texas Tech and Kansas. Lost to Arizona State in the Big 12 title game, and they beat Miami in their bowl game, so that finished them at 11-3. Best record in in school history for Iowa State. Okay, I guess let's move on to number 11. We do have Ole Miss. Now, out of the 4 teams that were sort of the bubble teams, outside looking in, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Ole Miss was the only one that won their bowl game. They absolutely obliterated Duke in their bowl game. I know it's just Duke, but I mean, Alabama was just playing Michigan, and South Carolina was only playing Illinois, and Miami was only playing Iowa State. So Ole Miss actually won their bowl game. So to move them up, what were they at, number 15? So up 4 places to number 11. Of course, they did have the big wins against Georgia and South Carolina, and they only lost to LSU and Florida, and then just a terrible loss to Kentucky. That was Kentucky's only SEC win. So maybe even number 11, seems kind of generous, but anyway, now we're getting into teams that actually made the playoffs. Number 10, we did at BYU, same place where they finished. Let's see, they had a 13-0. Let's see, they beat UNLV twice. And let's see, Oregon. Yeah, they played Oregon tough when they played them. Only lost to Oregon by 3. I mean, Ashton Jeanty, just an absolute beast. I mean, he should have won the Heisman. I mean, you get over 2,000 rushing yards. Yeah, should have won the Heisman. It's absolutely unstoppable. I mean, even when he was playing against the big teams, I mean, Oregon, I mean, even against, Penn State, he still got his yards. So, so they finished at 13-1, losing to Penn State in their playoff game, but they did put up a good fight. Of course, they were one of the teams that got a bye in the first round. Anyway, and then number 9, we do have Tennessee. Did drop them down 3 places from 6 to 9 after they got blown out by Ohio State. So they finished out 10-3, 10-2 regular season. Only lost to Georgia and Arkansas. Yeah, that one was a head scratcher. But hey, they did beat Alabama. That was their big win. So anyway, so I guess we move on. All right, so now let's put up the top 8. So start with number 8. We did have Indiana, same place as they were last time. Yes, they lost to Notre Dame in the first round of the playoffs. But, I mean, they had a great regular season, though. They went 11-1. Uh, that's still a great season. I mean, even though yes, they did lose to Ohio State, and their schedule wasn't the best, but hey, I mean, 11-1 is 11-1. And they lost to Ohio State. The eventual national champion was their only loss until the Notre Dame loss. That's what 11-2, and Kurt Signetti did win Coach of the Year because, of course, remember last year Indiana was just absolutely horrible. They were like 3-9. Yeah, so from 3-9 to 11-1. And then, speaking of of incredible turnarounds, at number 7, we do have Arizona State, and they were like like 3-9 last year, and then this year they made the playoffs, 10-2 regular season, only lost Texas Tech and Cincinnati. They did have the win against BYU. Let's see, and they blew out Iowa State in the Big 12 title game. That puts them at 11-2, so 11-3 after losing to Texas in overtime, but they gave Texas all they could handle. And I mean, Cam Scatterboo, yeah, just and I'm an absolute beast. I mean, you watched him, against BYU, he was unstoppable. Against Iowa State, he was unstoppable. And then in the playoffs against Texas, Cam Scatterboo was the best player on the field. He just completely dominated that game. So yeah, I'll put Arizona State at number 7. I moved them up 2 spots, even though they lost. All right, so now the top 6. Number 6, I did put Penn State. And then number 5, I did have Texas. And at number 34, I did have, let's see, obviously you've got to put Texas ahead of Georgia has to be ahead of Texas because Georgia beat Texas twice. So, I mean, I can't believe that the AP poll had Texas ranked ahead of Georgia. I mean, when we beat Texas twice. So, and then what's the reason for having Penn State below Texas? Yeah, no particular reason. But I did have Texas ranked ahead of Penn State to start with, so I guess that's it. Anyway, so Penn State it advanced all the way to the semifinals of the 12-team playoff. Let's see what they do with Penn State. Yeah, Penn State was an 11-1 regular season, only lost to Ohio State. It was Penn State's biggest regular season win. I guess it probably had to be against Illinois. But anyway, the only loss regular season was to Ohio State, but it was close. And then and then they lost in a shootout against Oregon in the Big Ten championships. That's 11-2. And then, of course, in the playoffs, they absolutely obliterated SMU, and they beat Boise State. Before losing to Notre Dame in the semifinals. Anyway, and then Texas, of course, Texas was 11-1 in the regular season, with their only loss being to Georgia, and 0 ranked wins. Of course, lost Georgia again, although this time it was closer. It was in overtime. Georgia in the SEC championship, and then beat Clemson in the first round of the playoffs, and then quarterfinals beat Arizona State in overtime before losing to Ohio State in the semis. They did drop down 2 places. All right, so number 4, Georgia, knocked them down from 2 to 4. After winning the SEC, only 2 losses being to Ole Miss and Alabama. Said, but big wins against Texas twice. Yep, Tennessee and Clemson. And then got a bye in the first round before losing to Notre Dame in the quarterfinal. And then top 3, of course, number 3, I've got Oregon. Undefeated regular season. They were 13-0 after winning the Big Ten championship. Of course, they'd beaten Ohio State and Penn State. Let's see, Illinois, and again got a first round bye before losing to Ohio State in the quarterfinals. They finished 13-1. So there's nowhere else to put Oregon except number 3, and then of course there's nowhere else to put Ohio State and Notre Dame but 1 and 2. Obviously, Ohio State won the national championship, so they're number 1. And of course, Notre Dame being the loser of the national championship, so they're number 2. Of course, yes, Notre Dame was 11-3 regular season, an unexplainable loss to Northern Illinois. What were their best wins in the regular season? I guess Louisville. Was that really their best regular season win? Anyway, but then they did beat Indiana in the first round, Georgia in the quarterfinal, and then Penn State in the semifinal. And as for Ohio State, of course, they won the national championship, 10-2 regular season, only losing to Oregon by 1 point. And they lost to Michigan again. Yeah, don't know how that one happened. But they did have their wins against Penn State and Indiana. And then when they got into the playoffs, of course, they blew out Tennessee in the first round, and Oregon in the second round, and semis, beating Texas, and then, of course, beating Notre Dame to win the national championship and finish number 1. So, all right, so that is going to be it. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. and I will see y'all again next time.